So the next portion that we're going to talk about is setting up your profile. So this is going to be all about the aesthetic, not just like, your bot and everything, but, making everything look nice. A nice layout, a nice setup, some of the important things that go into the aesthetics of your stream. It's just kind of the things that we want to discuss over this next section. Before we get too far into everything, I just want to remind you guys that we do have a giveaway going on. We have quite a few giveaways going on right now, actually. We have a Binks raid going on currently. You must make sure that you are a member of Binks to get involved. So just go ahead and click that sign up link right there and you can join in Binks. Everything will be going on right now for the Binks raid. We are currently giving away, right now. Currently we're giving away Windward. In an hour or two, we're probably going to be doing a little wait until we do Rocket League, and then we will do Kingdom New Lands later on tonight. We also do have a gift card giveaway going on right now. You have to type !! gift card in the chat to be able to enter into that giveaway. I also need you to win. You have to be here at the end of the stream when we call out your name. We also need you to follow all of our wonderful guests. I appreciate it. Everyone's being amazing for being here. So make sure you get your chance to enter and be here at the end. Another nice thing, if you're subscribed, you don't have to be here at the end. But if you are not subscribed, I'll need you guys to be here and respond in chat when we pull your name. So yeah, getting right to it. If we have any questions submitted. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask us, make sure you can go here and submit your question for the topic. If your question didn't get answered or you thought of something else, feel free to add it to the open discussion section where we'll be asking any questions that we missed, or if something else came into your head or whatever, we'll be able to answer all of that for you guys. So jumping right into it, profile. So panels. You have two different types of panels, obviously. You're going to have text panels with images, and you're going to have the extensions. There's so many extensions to choose from, and I think that that should be the last thing on your mind, because obviously you want your panels to look nice. There's a lot of different things you can do with your panels. Some people like to just use an image with all the text written into it. I personally like the headers with the text written under it, because it's easier to edit if you want to change something. How did you decide how you set yours up, Biff?
I've actually I've done it both ways. When I first set up my panels, I didn't like that things were like different sizes, because text, certain panels have more text than others, so it can kind of look
sloppy.
Yeah, it almost looks sloppy, but it's not. But the big thing, so I did, I made my own header and then created like a 320 by like 480 or something like that, some kind of rectangle, and then made sure it was a PNG file so that it could actually show through. The big thing with that is if you're gonna do something like that, you need to make sure that you put a stroke effect around the text that is white, because if someone uses dark mode and you're using black text, they're not going to see it. So that is actually another reason why I switched over, because I did end up changing a lot of things in my info panels. So I ended up doing just the headers and using the code. I forget what Twitch calls their coding, but so you can make bullet points and bold font and stuff like that.
Markdown.
Yes, thank you. Markdown, exactly right. But that way, if like I got a new donor or I wanted to give a shout out to somebody, I could edit it right on the fly immediately. And then they could see their accomplishment or, see their name right on there immediately. And the nice thing about that is someone's using dark mode, the text automatically changes. And obviously, if you already have a header, it's not that big of a deal because it's not transparent anyways.
Okay, cool.
So I've done both. Yep.
Yeah. So I think with Markdown, you have so much potential in what you want it to look like, because you can do, I like playing with it because I still haven't figured out what I like. Part of me says that, the idea of just going to those images where you can like make it look, because Markdown, you're limited. You are limited with Markdown on what you can actually do. So with an image, it's nice because you can make it look exactly how you want it to look, and you can space everything and all that stuff. But like I said, I like to change what I have there rather frequently, which is kind of one of those things we have to decide: am I going to leave it the same for forever, or do I want to make changes? How you want it to look. I personally have an issue with the fact that depending on how big you have your screen, everything moves and adjusts, and the panels aren't in the same order anymore. It just drives me crazy a little bit sometimes with the spacing, but it's all kind of just a matter of making it look the way you want to. But then you
Right.
have
And so for those of you that don't know what Markdown is, it's just Twitch's version of because info panels don't support HTML coding, but there is a nice little help section in Twitch's Q&A on how to use Markdown properly. So it's actually pretty simple, but it allows you to visually impact your info panels without stressing anyone out about it either.
So that's where you can get into like putting those lines in to make things push in further, linking things, making things bold, all different stuff. And like you could like copy and paste like certain emotes into things. Like you can add hearts to it. Like that's one of my favorite things to do. But it's just one of those things where you kind of have to work with what they give you, which is unfortunate, which is why it goes back to you could really just do this images if you want, but working with what you have is another thing. The other thing to think about is you get three extensions. Twitch extensions are awesome. There's so much you can do with Twitch extensions. That's kind of where you're going to be able to essentially get an app onto your profile. So the ones that I use my Stream Elements leaderboard, which gives people access to my store. You guys do scroll down. We were just talking about Stream Elements. You can actually see my leaderboard where you can see your top points. You can access some things from my store, and you can see the chat stats that he was talking about. I have my Amazon panel, which for someone who wants to bring in other forms of revenue into their stream, whether it be people purchasing something from Amazon, or whether it be the Humble Bundle or whatever you want, the setup is a cool way for people to see what exactly you're using, because people already want to know like what's your rig, how is everything set up, what are the guts of your computer. The setup with Amazon is a cool way to show people what you're using, and also have an opportunity, if they purchase something, you can make revenue off of it. So it's another form of income that if you really push, you could actually like make it worth something. And then obviously I use the stream avatars, so that's my third one. I'm not sure what the ones that you use are.
I only use two. I use the bit leaderboard for just to kind of give props to those who are top leaders for the month, which is available through obviously extensions. And then the other one I use, which I didn't have before, was the Stream Legends, I believe it's called. And because someone was like, oh, I'd be more apt to hang around here if I had something else to do too. So they wanted me to add that, so I added that extension as well. It's just essentially a little mini game that they can play inside of one of the panels while they're watching the stream or just hanging out. Because they wanted something else to do. It's not that they were bored or something. They were just like, chat wasn't lit that day or something, whatever the case may have been. But it seems to have really helped with keeping people around as well.
Yeah. That's a nice thing though that Twitch did add though. Twitch basically took the bit tier thingy and they integrated it into your chat now. So I think that's one cool thing, because I used to have the bit leader too, but now they made it so you can set up your cheerleaders to be, you don't have the option for month, but you can do weekly or all time, which I think is cool.
Right.
But yeah, that's another issue though. You don't have access
Actually, they
to
do have month now.
Oh, they added it?
They added month now. Yep. So you have month now, so it won't reset until the next first.
Okay, well then there you go. You have all your options for there, so that can kind of help you guys compress things a little bit. And yes, it's true. I'm sorry, I saw it somewhere. That is the downside of it. You usually cannot access extensions on profiles on mobile or on the desktop app.
Right. Yeah, so, that's weird.
Unfortunately, you can't do that. But that's kind of a limited situation there. What else do we have on here? So but yeah, so we talked about the markdown and everything. and potentially using Markdown versus using actual pictures. So like I said, you can go through, you can look online and see more things that you can do with Markdown, because Twitch's explanation of Markdown does give you a very basic line, but there are more things that you can add to Markdown to spice up the profile more that I didn't even know about at all. It's just simple copy pasting that you can do to like get extra, you know, designs and things in it, which is really cool. I know, right? If only they would. So that is probably an issue. Obviously there's nothing I could really recommend to you in terms of the extensions not being accessible from mobile or the desktop app. The thing I could say is, you know, you have to wait until you're on the computer to use it. But there's really no, you know, kind of good thing to decide or decipher on that. So I guess the next thing to talk about is what kind of info do you want to put in your profile?
Right.
Because you can go for really simplistic things. You know, there's so much that I've seen. When I went to go make my profile, I went through a bunch of partnered streamers. I just scrolled through their profile and I was like, what do they have that I like? What are some features that I see that I think are cool? What are things that I like and want to do? Now, I see streamers that have like milestones and it turns into these giant lists, and it looked cool at first, but then all of a sudden they have these lists of all these things and you're just like, I'm not a fan of it. I think that it gets too lengthy.
It can get super cluttered if you wanted it to.
It's like, what's important and what's not important, and when do you decide to stop adding to it, and when do you decide to remove things and stuff like that. I guess another thing that I just added not too long ago was a command list. Now, I know that there is access to a command list, usually by a command with your bot, but I did think that it was kind of nice to add a command list. I personally enjoyed adding it to my profile because I could put the ones that I think are relevant, because the command list is going to list so many out, because there's all these extra commands that people can use that might not apply.
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing I've had since day one, is like just a super basic command list that people usually want to utilize right off the bat, especially if they're newer to Twitch and they don't know about it. Like, you get a lot of people that'll pop into his channels and already know that there's like the uptime or whatever. But when I first started streaming, I didn't even know that the uptime command was a thing. So that actually helps me add that. So now, yeah, like I think I've got like maybe 5 or 6 commands under my info panels. But, you know, it helps people that are new coming in or anything kind of to see what I have available for them to have access to. And then, you know, as they stick around more and stuff, and you continue to build that community with those people, they're going to learn more about what your bot does. And that every bot is going to be different as well.
Another really important thing that I think should always be on your profile is going to be your schedule. Your schedule, please. I see people that put it in their like offline image and then they're hosting someone, so it's not on their profile. Like, I want to know when you go live so I know when to tune in, because I may or may not be at my computer to get that notification that you went live. I may or may not have my phone by me, you know, when you go live either. Put your schedule on your stream, because people want to know when you're going to go live. If you have like something specific you do, like this is on this day and like viewer days are on Saturdays and this is on this day, like tell people what's going on. That way they know, you know, what if there's a specific thing they want to tune into, let them know when it's going to happen, because people want to know when you're going to go live regardless. So is it better to have the list on a panel or on a timer message? For commands, if you're talking about commands, I think a list is going to be better.
Agree.
You can do the commands command in chat, where it's going to take you to your bot's list of commands. Now, if you click on that list, it's going to give you a huge list that involves so many different things, moderators, super moderators, stuff that we don't even use in my chat that I don't think is important. Some of them are good, but some of them I don't think are relevant. But you could put a list on your profile of stuff that actually applies, that are more relevant. That way people can see, because someone's going to scroll through your profile. They're not going to go / commands. But if they see a custom timer message, I think custom timer messages are really, really good. um you need to make sure that you space them right, because I had a time where I had all these customs and they're on like 15-minute timers, and my chat was all bot messages,
Yep.
and it gets really overwhelming. I mean, put your socials in there, put your, your like socials is a good one. You want to remind people about Twitch Prime. A lot of people do that. Whatever you think applies to you, just make sure that you put that line timer. That line spacer is huge. 30 minutes, if not 45 lines. That way it's not going to be one after another after another.
Yeah, that's exactly what I have too. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, like, if they have a really slow chat, it's you'll come in or you're lurking because you're doing your other things or whatever. Um and basically the whole chat is just stream elements or whatever their bot is at the time. And it's like, oh, and you almost feel bad, but it's like, yeah, definitely time that stuff out, man. Like 30 minutes, yeah, is perfect for me anyways. And then I have mine but I've got like 15 different timers, and I've got it every 30 lines as well, I believe.
That way it's nice and spaced out. You don't get like that
Exactly.
wall of bot text, because it can happen. Obviously, if you have a lot of commands that people are using, it's going to happen, but people understand. Like, I'm typing explanation point something that's going to trigger a bot response, so of course there's going to be more links and more bot things in chat, as opposed to an automatic message reminding you to do this, an automated message reminding you to do that. Like, post your Discord on there every once in a while. Like, you want people to join your Discord. Yes, I have a command where I can personally type it, but I also want my bot to remind you, hey, join my Discord. Hey, vote for me on this website. Hey, do this for me. Because you have people that come in and out, and you don't consistently think about it. And I think it helps a lot.
Yes.
We have a good question that came in. Being a streamer is essentially creating your own brand. When should new streamers think about hiring someone to create branding such as logos, banners, and overlays? Now, we talked about this a little bit when we were talking about equipment. I wouldn't rush it before you have the general quality of your stream underway. After that, it's going to be up to you.
I mean, God, well, I've been affiliate for 7 months. And I essentially allowed the stream to pay for it. If you can create sustainability for your stream, that is amazing. Now, not everyone has that option, and I get that. So maybe don't go out of your way to hire a super massive professional. There are amazing sites out there that are inexpensive, where you can get almost all of your stuff. Like what Fiverr, I used Fiverr essentially for my first emoticons. So Fiverr's a great website. I'm sure there's other websites out there that you could get a hold of, or even, once again, like we said, reach out to your community. Maybe there's someone in your chat that knows what they're doing and they'd be willing to help out the stream just because they want to help you out. Perfect example of that as well. One of my mods created my intro video for me within like 6 hours, and it's amazing. Right? Now I'm kind of biased, I get it, but I think it turned out amazing. He did a great job in After Effects creating it, and he didn't even I offered him like a $25 Amazon gift card. He didn't even want it. He just wanted to help the stream. So reach out to your community and see what they have to offer. I'm not saying beg for it, but just be like, hey guys, keep your ears to the grindstone and see what you can find for me, or blah, blah. I'd really like any suggestions, stuff like that. It's really helpful. And you'd be surprised how many people out there are willing to help you just because they enjoy what you're doing for them and creating that content.
That's such a good point, because I mean, you're going to run into one of two things. Like I said, you're going to get those people that know what they're doing, or someone who knows just enough to help you. Even if you don't have 100% of what you need right away, like one by one, someone who might be able to help you out with something is so huge. Like I said, I had one of my mods help me out with all of my panels and did my Osu overlay, and they match, and it was like perfect. I was just like, hey, he's like, I'm gonna help you do this overlay because you could really do something that looks nice. And I was like, cool. And we were just like chatting, doing whatever, and in the meantime, I was just like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And it worked out really well. And then making the panels was like super easy. I personally have no Photoshop skills or experience at all, and they're like, oh, right. I just made the image and then just edited the words, and it took it. I mean, there's a million panels, and it took them 10 minutes to do the whole thing. which would have taken me forever, but still, it's super, super awesome. And I think that helps a lot. So Stream Elements is great for overlays for beginners. Yes, you can do overlays with Stream Elements. They walk you through a lot of that. Yes, and a wish list. That's a good thing too. You can always set up a wish list if there's things that you do want. And even if you mark down on your profile that, you're looking for someone who knows, you're looking for art or whatever. Because I just spent money on getting a chibi and my emotes done. I know I can't get all my emotes in yet, but I want to add them to my Discord. And then again, I want the chibi for merch and overlays and stuff like that. And I really wanted it. So I was at the point where I was ready to, put all that stuff in there, and that was where I was standing with that. But again, I don't recommend doing it until you're at a comfortable place with everything else, because I don't think it's worth a huge investment for artists, because you can go online and you can find basic stuff that's free. You can find your League overlays. There's millions and millions of League overlays. You can set up a decent looking overlay for your stream using Stream Elements. Stream Elements has probably 100 different templates for you to use that have every single screen you need. They have, your offline, your stream starting soon, BRB, they have everything you need, and it's free. So you don't have to take that extra step to put money into something right away. Why put money into something that you're just getting into? I guarantee there's some people that start, I'm gonna start streaming, and they put all this money into it and get all this stuff set up, and then they don't stick to it. I'm not saying oh, don't stream. You
no,
definitely,
exactly.
but don't
We're just saying don't kill your wallet just to start something that might only be a hobby. That's all.
You want to make sure that it's something that's really cool, that you like. And what if your image changes? Because I know when I first started streaming, I wanted everything Zaya themed. And I found a Zaya overlay, and I had someone just edit it a little bit. I found a friend that knew basic Photoshop skills, and they modified it for me. And if I would have still if I would have had everything done immediately, I would be upset with it now, because now that I'm kind of transitioning out of just that theme, I would have kind of been upset because I've changed my image, I guess, towards what I want my layout to be and what I want my theme to be since then. So you might not know exactly what it is that you want your concept to be from the beginning. So you don't want to dedicate everything to something that might change. So
Absolutely agree. I mean, tastes change. I mean, God, when I was 13, I was super into punk rock or pop punk, and I don't even listen to that anymore. So, I mean, stay flexible with yourself. I mean, always be welcome to new changes, regardless of what it might be.
Definitely, that's a really good point. More and more large streamers are switching to a minimal overlay. What are your thoughts on busy overlay versus a minimal overlay? Just cam and alerts. I mean, you see a lot with that. I mean, I personally think that you need to be able to, I like having the right amount of information on my overlay. I think that having, the names, people like seeing their names on the stream. Show who your last donator, your last cheer, your last follow, your last sub. Those are so pertinent. And if you don't want to take up a lot of space, just use the stream events list, where it just puts the names and you can shove it in the corner and do whatever you want. That's huge. It's a great way to show respect to the people that have helped you in the past. But obviously you have to, I think it depends on what your style is. Because you could have a style where you want it to be busy, you have a lot going on. You're an IRL stream and you want things taking up the image because you're just sitting there talking, but you don't want to take away from gameplay. So you want to make sure that it's respectable. So think about what game you're playing. If you need to, make sure that everything's on the side. When I play League of Legends, there's information across the entire top of the screen and the bottom of the screen. The majority of my information is on the sides. That way I still have a lot going on, but I'm not taking up, everything. But I get a little bit bored if it's just an image, just the camera. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that one, Biff.
I mean, my thing is, it's all about preference at the end of the day. You need to make sure that if it's something that you enjoy, don't just throw stuff on there just to throw stuff on there. And I mean, I think we've all been guilty of that. a time or two, like, oh, this would be cool to throw here. Oh, what if this triggers this and blah, blah, blah. And, that's awesome. Number one, you have to think about how taxing that stuff is on your computer, because that stuff has to read from a file, then it has to transcode it and then encode it in order to upload it to the ingest servers. Um, so that's a really big thing. Number two, as long as, again, we get into aesthetics, it has to be aesthetically pleasing. You can't just throw stuff everywhere and expect people to be like, oh, this looks super professional or blah, blah, blah. There's a
Mhm.
certain way to go about it. I mean, it's, it's like if you were to wear a disco ball out in the middle of public, I mean, like, yeah, people are going to look at you, but are they looking at you for the right reasons?
Very true. A really, really good point.